Hello, everyone. In this live stream, we'll be discussing identifying, sourcing, and selling jewelry on the various e-commerce platforms such as eBay, Poshmark, Etsy, and Mercari. If you're a reseller or thinking about becoming a reseller, you're in the right place. Every Wednesday, I attempt to bring on other resellers and have them share their tips, their strategies to make us more successful and more profitable resellers. I just want to say hello to a few people in the chat, and we will get started very shortly. Guys, just a reminder, there's going to be, I mentioned in my previous show when we had the issues with YouTube, we're going to have an announcement during the show, so hopefully you guys can hang in, and I think it'll be worth your time, worth your while to hang around a little bit during the show. So I want to say hello to a couple of my moderators. Sharon is here. Michelle is here. It's good to see, I think Kathleen was here earlier. I don't know if she's come back. Good to see Kathleen here. And I'm sure a few people will be flowing in shortly. So don't want to keep the people watching the replay. So like I said, people will be filling in shortly. I want to get started. So let me bring in my guest. Some of you may know her. Some of you may not. So I will have her introduce herself. Hello, Miss Creative Lauri.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experiences and your expertise with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Why don't you tell the people that don't know you a little bit about yourself?
Well, let's see. I started a YouTube channel about 3 years ago, I believe. And I started off as a decor channel because I am a home stager. And so I started off doing decor and crafts and decorating and thrifting and all of that. And in fact, I'm repeating some of my videos as the holidays come around again. But then about 2 years ago, I started selling every Sunday afternoon my dad's jewelry. You can see he's a gemologist, and so we had a plethora of it. So I just picked every Sunday afternoon to sell, and did pretty well. And then I created a second channel just for jewelry, and it's Creative Lauri's Jewelry and Gems. Now, because I couldn't go live on that second channel all the time, there would be like, mishaps with YouTube. I would bounce back and forth. So I say, if you're interested in either or, just subscribe to both channels. And I'll be most of the time having my jewelry videos on that channel for jewelry, but the lives probably still here on this channel, but I will be doing other things on this channel as well. So it's like a lifestyle plus the jewelry. And I'd love for you guys to subscribe and check it out, hang out, leave comments. I love comments, and hopefully you can catch me live sometime.
Okay, and like right below your picture here, you have your contact information, creativelauri2@gmail.com.
Yes.
All of Lauri's her contact information or email, as well as her 2 YouTube channels, are listed in the description below. And again, guys, we're going to get into a little bit during the show, but as most of you know, you're resellers here, you know that a lot of channels are doing buy it nows and auctions on YouTube. We're going to discuss that as well as the other ways to source jewelry. The main reason I want to have Lauri come on is basically to educate us about jewelry. Over the years, I've purchased jewelry with the intent to resell. Kind of got out of hand. I was trying to be the nice guy and buy from the various resellers, and buy here, buy there, buy there. And all of a sudden, I got this pile of jewelry. It's like, we'll get into it a little bit later. But I mean, Lauri does describe her jewelry. She puts a note in there. We'll get into that a little bit about what you should do, the proper way to do it. But some of the resellers, I would buy it, and it's like I didn't take notes, and I had to go back and watch the video, and then I would miss it. So anyway, so guys, take it from me. Do as I say, not as I do. When you purchase something, make notes. What your purchase price was when you bought it. What the stone is, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about the various stones, popular stones, and talk about the various metals. Basically, just a gems and jewelry 101. Then we're going to touch on a little bit of aspects like sourcing, selling, shipping, et cetera, et cetera. But the main portion of the show is going to be about identifying the various types of jewelry that sell well, identifying the various stones. And Lauri's going to be here. She's going to show us the various stones and things. Put it on the screen. She's going to show us the gems. This is mother of pearl, or this is you know, a type of gem that we want to look for, and this is the difference. This is dyed halite, and this is turquoise. What the difference is. So we're going to get into like the nitty gritty of it, and we're going to educate us as far as if you're new or you're an intermediate seller. Lauri's going to be a great help. So why don't we get started? And like I said, we're going to start with the sourcing. Where the various places that we can source. And again, we didn't mention it, but you are in California.
Yes.
So I know your opportunities might be a little bit different than, say people that are in the middle of the country or in the Northeast or, in Florida. Yeah. So once you get a little bit in about sourcing, I mean, like you mentioned, you do have a Buy It Now show on YouTube, but once you mention some of the various places that you can source jewelry and the things that you want to be aware of.
Well,
and I'll discuss a little bit too, but I mean, you're the expert.
Yeah, I was really, like I said, last week, I was really spoiled because my dad had so much jewelry, and he had purchased just a ton of it, from lapidaries in California and Nevada. He was living in Nevada for a short time, and so there's a lot of Native American, a lot of Paiute, some Navajo tribes in Nevada, and he just got really lucky in finding some beautiful pieces. So it would literally be people like at swap meets, flea markets, estate sales, sometimes even like what are they called? Consignment shops. But mainly, he would just make friends so easily. And so he would literally just start talking to people, and they'd say, well, I make jewelry, or I have a bunch of jewelry. And he's like, well, let me know when you want me to look at it. And so I guess just networking worked best for us for the vintage items, which is our specialty, is like Native American vintage. And when I say Native American, I mean from the US and Mexico. And so then he had a bunch of new fine jewelry, and we've sold just a bunch of that. And I had started to sell it for him on eBay, but it is a bit time consuming. And I found that being on YouTube was much easier. And I could be on for a couple hours, and, maybe blow through 15, 20 pieces and be, done, and add like, maybe another 2 hours for invoicing and packaging and sending off. But through eBay, it's, time consuming. You have to get the pictures just so and everything. But so that's when I decided to finally create a second channel at some point. But for me, because I was so spoiled with him having so much, we tried to go to Goodwill here and find some, costume pieces, because I like to mix in a little bit of everything. And I didn't have a good luck at all. And my dad didn't either. But when he would go to Nevada, he had really great luck. He bought like two baggies, I remember. And I said, Dad, just buy something. I'm just curious if it's different in Nevada. And it was like, he had like a little sandwich bag, and it was full of various things, but like there was jade in there. There was, I don't remember exactly everything, but there was just like great pieces, And I thought, wow, I can't believe how different. I think in California, because you're so saturated here, and I think they have caught on so quickly to the Goodwill and what can be available there, that I never had any luck. I know a lot of people do, but the people who are in California, they usually go on to Shop Goodwill and try that route. I've never done that, to be honest. I've looked, but then I kind of got distracted and I moved on. So for me, I've gone to yard sales and estate sales, and I found that for me to be a little bit better. I find estate sales a little bit more expensive, but there were some good things, really, for vintage, costume jewelry. And so I guess just what he had, what he found. Sometimes when he goes to Nevada, he'll go to the Goodwill. He just came back the other day again, but he didn't find anything this time at the Goodwill. But sometimes he can call up his friends and they have like a mine, and maybe he'll buy some white buffalo from them, or various different stones where the mines for turquoise have been closed. So, my dad is a rock hound. He does all of that, metal detects and gold panning. So he's made a lot of friends in that type of industry. So I guess the best thing to do is to network. And I've been spoiled and I haven't had to do that. But I have bought online and like through YouTube and through friends that are on YouTube. But I usually, most of the time, end up keeping it. So that hasn't been great for me. But I'll buy something and then I wear it for a while and then I'll sell it. But you can find some great deals. I do try to make them aware what it is. If I know just by looking at it online or on the screen. But like sometimes you'll buy a lot and there'll be a little gem in there. And I remember I bought this ring and I love it. It's a huge agate. And I remember the person I bought it from, Roberta, it was like a jewelry box with a bunch of stuff. And then that was in there. I basically bought it for this ring because I really just liked this big chunky ring. And
so she was selling a lot on one of the YouTube shows. Okay.
Yeah. And so sometimes, you get lucky and you can find, gems. Like she figured it was probably agate, and it's an agate, but she thought it was incredibly ugly and I loved it. So I still wear it to this day. And then my dad brought over this, it's like bovine bone, and then it has agate piece there. And it's really chunky and it really kind of matches.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty well. It's a little more on the purple side, but if you look here, the ring has more purple on the side too. So it coordinates nicely. So I just love it. So I don't trust myself online because most of the time I buy for me and then I'll eventually separate it and maybe I'll sell it. But I find yard sales to be really good for me here in California.
Well, that's the thing too. And, we talk about, and I did want to bring up networking, and Bill, hopefully Bill is still in the chat. Just to remind you guys that Bill and I are having our show. We do the bi-weekly every other week on Monday night, 8 p.m. It's going to be on Bill Noman and Frog's channel next Monday night. Bill and I are always talking about networking, whether it be on my show or on the show we do together. Network, guys. It's so key. It's just so. And again, it was a lot easier before. We're not going to mention what's going on in the world. We all know what's going on. YouTube doesn't like when we mention it, but it was a lot more easy back in the day when you could just come up to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm Adam." You go to a yard sale, or you're food shopping. Maybe somebody would admire your piece of jewelry, and you would say, "Oh, that's a beautiful piece of jewelry. Oh, do you like it? Oh, I have a YouTube channel." And then, guys, you have business cards made up. You don't have to give your personal phone number. You can use a Google Voice number. You have your information on it with your YouTube channel and your, maybe your email address, and then what your specialty is. And Lauri could just give a card and say, "Oh, if you're interested, I have a YouTube channel where I sell this type of jewelry. I'm on every, whatever, Saturday night or Sunday night at 10 p.m. Pacific or whatever." And guys, it works. Or like you said, you're out at a yard sale or a garage sale or a thrift sale or a thrift store or an estate sale. You go up to estate sale, you talk to the people at estate sale. By the way, there's a lot of jewelry here. If you don't sell that jewelry, maybe you and I can work something out at the end of the sale. I know typically the last day you do 50% off. Maybe if I come in, maybe we work out a deal and I'll buy most of your jewelry, and then the seller will be happy, I'll be happy, you'll be happy, and it's a win-win-win. Yeah. So again, we always talk about networking on this channel, and it's so true, guys. Just do yourself a favor. I know sometimes you got to get out of your shell. I mean, I was in outside sales, and when I wasn't very outgoing when I first got into sales, but in order to be successful in sales, you have to be outgoing. So you have to get out of your shell, and you have to reach out, and you have to have conversations. So back in the day, I would just go in a grocery store, and it's just like just start conversations up with the person in front of me or behind me. Now you don't do that. Now it's like, give me my 6 feet. So,
it's for sure.
It's a different world we live in. So. I did want to bring up the networking. I want to remind you guys about the show this coming Monday on Bill's channel, Noman and Frog. So anyway, Why don't we get in a little bit again? We talked about we're going to identify the various stones and metals and things, and whatever way you want to handle it best. I know you have some examples there, and let's get into like the gist of it, and like the educational portion of the show. I mean, it's all educational, but this portion of the show.
So we'll do the metals first because
Great.
and I want to say too, when you're networking, I mean, you know, you don't have to be so outgoing. I grew up very shy. Like I was a very shy kid, and my sister was an actress, totally opposite of me. And but I eventually came out of my shell little by little. And honestly, being nice is free. And sometimes when you're just being nice and just kind to somebody, you've started networking without you realizing it. So it's just better just to be nice all around. And sometimes, it does open doors. It certainly has for me. So, I mean, I've met people in the craziest of ways when I'm volunteering sometimes, and I've met them, and then they find out I do jewelry or whatever, and somehow we're networking with one another for various things. So it really pays off just to be, even when we wear our masks, you could still say hello. And when someone's smiling, you can kind of tell because they get like these little wrinkles under their eyes, like little
wrinkle marks.
Yeah, and so I mean, some people have a little more or bulging or whatever, but you can kind of tell when they're smiling, or I try to laugh more so that they know. But I still try to be friendly because this is kind of a hard time, and I don't want to lose that about myself, or I don't want others to lose it. So I really do try to still be cordial and friendly at a distance, but it's still possible. I still met 3 people during this pandemic that have been key in a lot of things for me. So no, 4 people. So I'm very happy. But okay, so just keep an open mind, basically.
Yes.
Let's see. So I made notes because I didn't want to like forget anything. Now I really love copper, brass. So as far as like silver, we'll get into silver in a second. But I really love, and I do like gold, of course, but I love copper and I love brass. And then there's like pewter and such. You don't really see a whole lot of pewter out there as of late. I know it was really popular in the 80s. Excuse me. And I do have some pieces of pewter, which I do like, but copper. Okay. The best way to test a piece of copper, if you're just not sure, the best thing to do is there's a couple of ways. So let me see if I can find a piece of copper. I just sent out a bunch of copper. So I was so ready for last week and I had everything laid out, but then YouTube was not cooperating with us. Okay, well, I may not have it.
I'm just happy it's cooperating today. It's like,
yeah, no, yeah, right. I'm not complaining, that's for sure. Okay, I don't have well, let's see. I have a piece of copper with brass.
Okay.
And silver. Okay, this is going to be a little bit hard to show, but I'm going to show it regardless because it's really all that I have. So I don't know if you can see, but it's brass, then copper, then silver, then copper, then brass.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's a really beautiful vintage choker necklace and cuff, I should say, neck cuff. Now my mom had this and she would wear it, so I will never get rid of this. But she was such a petite person that it does not fit me. At some point it did, but I always felt like it was just a little bit, choking.
Right.
So the best way is you can always take, like a magnet, and brass is the same way. Brass, silver, copper, it won't stick. It just doesn't stick.
Brass, copper, and what doesn't stick?
Silver. Brass, copper, silver.
Copper, silver. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe pewter too. I had a pair of pewter earrings pulled, but now I can't find them. So, anyways, it's not going to stick. But the best way, if you're out and about, have a magnet with you, and have it be kind of a skinny end so you can really kind of get in there.
I was going to ask you, again, we're going to get into it a little bit later, but I'm assuming things like that are probably sold at on Amazon or eBay or even something like Harbor Freight. I bought this big one. It was more for my use at home, but I'll show you guys real quick. It's not really convenient to use when I'm in the field. This is at Harbor Freight. It was like $4.99. It has an extension wand. So I mean that's great. I mean, if you're just extending out. But I mean, to carry this around in my pocket. And I know there are some people that have they're like little keychains and they have like a little magnet on the keychain and they attach it to their keys, and then that way they always have the magnet. When you get into drawer sleep too, we get into that a little bit later. But right now we're talking about metals. I didn't want to forget to mention that though.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you guys, it doesn't really matter what high-tech magnet you have. This is from my dad's job back in like the 80s, 70s, and 80s when he worked at a dairy farm. This is for cows. They ingest them, so it collects all the nails and staples for things.
Oh, well, okay. See the things you're learning this show, Sky? The guys, I never thought I would learn that today. We're talking about jewelry. Nails.
This was new, right? But right. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I've used like the magnets we have on a refrigerator,
right?
Just because sometimes you lose it, and I've got a million magnets everywhere. And this one's kind of heavy, so I am on the lookout for a smaller, even thinner one, just to take with me in my pocket. Because if I pull this thing out, it's a little bit heavy and gets stuck to my keys and everything. But yeah, so always, of course, touch your metals. But with copper, the other way to know if it's like real copper through and through, you have to do like a O-meter testing, which is it's like a little meter, and it's literally called OH and then meter, all one word, O-meter. Okay. And that's like the safest way to, like, if you're going to be selling copper, because I've bought copper before and it was just for me, but it wasn't copper. It was like stainless steel with copper coating overlay, but and sometimes it wasn't even a copper overlay. So and because it's a very thin layer, it's not magnetic because it's stainless steel. Stainless steel is also not, magnetic. But the O-meter, and then you can do a sound test also. I've never been able to perfect the sound test, which is you ding it, and it's supposed to have like this sound to it. But I don't trust myself with that, so I would just say give it, a good a magnetic, and you kind of get to know jewelry. Like if it's fashion jewelry and it's newer, it's probably not copper. Right. If it's older, it's probably going to be copper. If it's like vintage, Native American, whatever. So you're probably safe. And you can always do the O-meter. I always say test your stuff if you're going to list it. That way you can say for sure this is copper. Just to be on the safe side to cover yourself. So
we are Grace with Robert, who I know you know Robert, that does shows with Jewelry Nurse.
Yeah.
Those jewelry shows. Thanks for joining us, Robert.
How are you? So then the next one is brass. I love brass. Same thing. You can use a magnet on it. Brass is a little bit easier. And you can do a scratch test, because sometimes they'll do brass plating. And if you do a big enough scratch test, like on the underneath part of a piece of jewelry, like in an inconspicuous, place, maybe like on the underneath of this underside of the necklace, scratch it deep enough and then test it with the acid tester. You can do that, or just a scratch test. Sorry, just a scratch test. And if you see like a darker metal underneath, then it's just plated. But you can usually tell, like most of the stuff from India or Mexico is usually solid. So I feel pretty safe in saying, that. But I still will do the test. So magnet also, it's also it can be it's non-magnetic.
Non-magnetic, right?
Okay, the next one. So we'll go into platinum, silver, and gold. So platinum, it's more dense than gold, and is non-magnetic also.
Okay.
So really, you can do, the magnetic test in, if it's, it'll usually be marked platinum, I have heard that it's been marked to like 900 but see, that's like really tricky there because 900 can be used for silver too. So really you got to kind of watch out. And when you do the acid test, you'll find out it's either silver or platinum. But basically it's not magnetic, and you can test it with acid
Did the
also.
acid test, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's
The
it's a
platinum
specific,
typically isn't marked. You said sometimes it is marked 900, but typically is not marked when it's platinum.
yeah, right. Typically it just says platinum or PLAT.
Okay, it will say. Okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah. I've seen a lot of different things, but it's really rare when you see older vintage jewelry in platinum. It's pretty rare. It's just they really didn't use it back then, like in the
okay.
30s and the 40s and such.
Well, I know my mother's wedding band was platinum. That's all I know. So
Okay, yeah.
that
It's
was
really
back in the 60s, 50s,
okay. So
late
yeah,
50s. Yeah,
more popular as the decades went on.
right.
Yeah. And it's definitely heavier. Like if it feels heavier, the piece, if it's a ring and it feels heavier than like a piece of silver, you'll just get used to all of this. Feeling
Okay,
it, it feels heavier, it's denser, so it's probably platinum. And then nowadays they'll do platinum over silver because platinum doesn't tarnish either. Okay, let's see, silver. So you can obviously it's not magnetic for the most part, and you can also acid test it. Sometimes, depending on the alloys in the type, the grade of silver, there'll be a slight pull to it. So that's when it's good to have acids for like 925, and then there'll be different colors for it depending on like whatever acid test you bought and the
right.
redness of it. And there's everything from 800 to 999, which is the
Okay,
purest form. Yeah,
pure
and
strong.
we'll get into that in a second.
Okay,
And then gold, of course, it's not magnetic, and it's always shiny. And you can use an acid test, and it usually turns like a milky color or bluish color when you do the scratch test. Um, and just to give you an example, like when there's all these hidden treasures, like ships and they're in the ocean, all these
right.
coins, they're always shiny. Gold just doesn't it doesn't tarnish,
It's
or
tarnished.
like even from salt water, just doesn't turn colors. It's just an amazing metal, really. So that's something too, to think about. Like if it's got a little tarnish on it or whatever, if you're not sure about it, it's probably not um, real gold, or it might be plated and they scratched it and the metal underneath is showing some kind of a tarnish. But
That's a good
most of the
point.
time, it's probably not gold. Yeah, sorry, but I'm not really reading the comments, so let me see
That's all
here.
right. If there's anything really important, I'll try to bring it up to you. But that's
Okay.
a great tip.
Okay, so the silvers are from 800 to 999. Now, normally 999 is used for like coins or trading bars, international trading to other countries, bars of silver. Um, but I have come across, gosh, in the last year and a half alone, two necklaces that were 999, and we did test them, and they were pure silver necklaces, and there are these gorgeous linked necklaces that had other things on them. But so we'll go down from 800 to 999. So 800, it just means like there's all these percentages and there's these alloy metals that are included, and that's what determines if it's 800, 900, 925, whatever.
Right. The amount of alloys in there, right?
Yeah, so 925 is 92.5% of silver, and then the rest 7.5 in copper.
Right.
Then 950 is usually considered the purest form in jewelry making for silver jewelry, because it's really rare if you find 999.
Right. But with silver, it tends to be on the softer side, I guess, and you need an alloy to toughen it up a little bit.
I don't know why they put
Okay. Okay.
alloys in there, to be honest. I really
Okay.
don't know. Probably
Okay.
just for the bendability, yes.
Right. Okay.
To form into rings and such. Let's see. So 950 purest form. If you find a 950, you're, lucky to get that. And that's 95% silver and then 5% copper. Let's see. So 999 would be the purest form you could absolutely find.
Right.
And
That's
if you
very
find
rare to
that,
find that.
they
Right.
make bullion bars out of it.
Okay.
But let's say you find something that's 800, which is really typical back in the day. 800, 825, 850, 900. It's still silver, but it just has that content. It's like 80% silver, and then the rest are alloy metals.
Now,
So,
when you say back in the day, what time frame are we talking?
20s.
Okay, so there was
20s.
.80 and point whatever 825 or whatever back in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, so it was really
Okay.
common, really
And
common
would it be
to.
marked? Would it be marked that way, or did it just test that way?
Sometimes it is marked
Okay.
800.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not marked, and when you test it, you do get the red reading. But it's really
Gotcha.
common. Like in Mexico, they use 800 a lot, 850, 825. And then when Tasco came around, they realized, or when the Great Depression, like they realized, like Mexico had these great resources, so they were just strictly using most of the time 925, especially at Atasco, Mexico. It was like the Hollywood designer jewelry, or the Paris of the world at the time, because people couldn't get jewelry from Paris anymore. Nothing was being imported, but it was easier to get it from Mexico at the time.
Okay, so
that's
why don't you just touch a little bit of what Tasco is? I know it's a location, it's a city, I believe, right, or town in Mexico.
Yeah.
So what is Tasco silver?
So I'll have to post. I posted on a couple of my videos. Tasco is a place in Mexico. There was an architect that would go to Mexico, learning about the different architecture, because there's beautiful like Gothic churches like in Guatemala and or Guadalajara, and further down, like from the Spaniards coming in and conquering
Right.
the land. So there's all this, development of these types of churches. So this architect went down there to learn, and then he fell in love with the culture, the people, and decided to go back. And then he decided to learn how to make jewelry. And then he was an apprentice under someone else, and then he became really well at doing what he was doing with silversmithing, that he started having others work underneath him. And I mean, it just became this big business for him. And he, someone was like mentoring him, and then he decided just to go full force with it. So he did. It's a really beautiful story, actually.
Okay.
Not the ending for him, but but and so they created this town, or this road that connected Tasco to, like, I think Acapulco, some major tourist town for the Hollywood stars or something.
Okay.
Cancun, maybe. I can't remember. And once they created that road, it went through the town of Tasco, and it became this huge, like, people realized, wow, these are gorgeous pieces. We can't get this in the U.S. right now because of the war and, the Depression. And so it became really well known, and a lot of people worked underneath him. He taught them. A lot of people went off on their own. So they're very distinct, like markings. It's usually, not always, but most of the time, it's like a T and then like maybe someone's initial, I don't really know,
Okay.
dash, and then some numbers.
Gotcha.
And that's usually depicts Tasco. But
so that was from the 40s. You said during the war. You're talking about the 40s.
Yes. Yeah. And so Tasco became the Paris of jewelry at the time.
Right, because
so,
like you said, you couldn't get it from France, and they sourced it in Mexico. Then okay,
right.
And apparently there was a large right.
And I always
reserve
joke
of
with
silver.
Mom that there's a certain perfume that came out of Mexico, and I'm like, it's probably because of that time too.
Probably
And
would make sense.
she liked it. So, anyways, but it's a really beautiful story, and it has a bit of a sad ending for him, but nothing like he got killed or anything. It was just financial, but
Okay.
he did so much and for that town and with others and the natives and everything, and they have a very distinct style usually, but not always. And it just depending on who the silversmith was. And so it's really a fabulous story. So it's definitely a must read. But like I said, Tasco doesn't always have the T, then another letter, a dash, and the numbers. Not always, but sometimes, most of the time it will. And then you know it's Tasco for sure. There's nothing else that is like Tasco. They don't have that series of numbers.
Series of numbers. Okay.
Yeah, and that way, like the T and the V dash 1, 2, 3, 4. You know. Okay, so
interrupt you for 1 second, guys. I just want to remind you guys, if you weren't here earlier, we're going to have an announcement throughout a little bit later in the show, so if you can hang around, it'd be worth your while to hang around. So just want to remind you in case you weren't here earlier. So I'm sorry, go, Lauri.
No, it's okay. Yes, please do stick around. Okay, so so let's see. So okay, when I say 800, 825, 850, 900, most jewelry is not made with that type of content of silver anymore. It's usually vintage jewelry, and it doesn't make it worth any less because it's a less content of pure silver. It really doesn't, because it's still vintage and it's locked into this era of time. So just because it's 800 or 900, don't think it's worth less money, quite honestly. Now they won't make it that way anymore. I mean, they just don't. So don't be afraid to buy a piece that says 800 or 850, or when you test it, you could see that it's like a pink color because it's 800 or something. Don't be afraid of that, because it's still a vintage piece that marks an era in time. Okay, let's see. Something that's not silver from Mexico, but this is a tricky one, and there's a lot of controversy online, and I don't even get into it with people because I don't like to engage in that way, but alpaca. So the town alpaca.
Oh, it's funny. I was just looking at her notes, and alpaca was in her notes. Okay, so I'm glad you're talking about it.
Yeah. So most of alpacan jewelry, it's very distinct, you know, the bracelets and the earrings and the rings and everything. They have a lot of beautiful inlaid shell and stonework, but it's not silver. But alpaca, the town of alpaca, still makes jewelry that is silver, but they were coined, you know, this back in the day. So just be careful and just test it, because you just never know. And if it says alpaca, it doesn't always mean it's going to be the alpaca jewelry that's not silver. So be very careful with that.
Okay.
But alpaca, the one that's not silver, it's a copper, zinc, nickel, and then some tin in it. That's why you see
put the definition in the chat.
What?
I just put the definition in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Researching it, so okay.
So they did make silver pieces because they were catching on with Tasco, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we're going to be, you know, also, well, first of all, they did make silver pieces back in the day. And then they started to make these pieces that are called alpaca jewelry that is not silver, but they always continued to make silver. But so they kind of got known for something, and I don't think they've ever been able to shake that. But another thing that's not silver is German silver. And it's the same contents as alpaca, copper, zinc, nickel with some tin. But it's still beautiful pieces. They're vintage. I mean, I've bought things like it, and I'll probably never sell it because they're beautiful, like Native American pieces, and I love them. So it's
now, just a little side note with the Native American jewelry. When they use silver, I guess it depends on what era it came from. Is the amount of silver typically? Or does it just vary depending upon the tribe or the location? Or?
Yeah, it depends on the tribe, what was going on in the government at the time, the era, the economic status, everything. So,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And also native pieces were typically not signed back then because they were afraid to, because the government would take their, you know, the money.
Right.
Okay, so we covered German silver. I can't see the let me plug my laptop back in. It kind of died. And then I can see the comments if there's any questions. I don't know if there's any questions or not. But.
Okay, guys. So yeah, if there are any questions, guys, you can bring your questions up while Lauri is plugging in her laptop. So if you have any questions about the various stones or the type of metals, We're going to get into the stones. We're talking about metals now. We'll get quickly into the various type of stones and things you typically would find, in the marketplace that resell well on the various e-commerce platforms. So we're going to get into the stones very shortly, and then we're going to talk a little bit about just touch on listing a little bit. Like I said, Lauri, 99% of what she sells is through her YouTube channel, so we're not really getting into listing too much. Just going to mention a few things. Then we'll talk about shipping and then et cetera, et cetera. So let me get back to Miss Lauri. Okay, you are back.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's talk real quick about gold-plated, gold-filled, and so you guys can know the difference. So gold-plated will usually be marked GP or GEP for gold electroplated, and then sometimes RGP for rolled gold-plated. And gold-filled is actually worth more than gold-plated because it's a heavier amount of a layer of gold over whatever they're covering on a ring. So I think it's, what did I write? 5% of the total weight. So let's say you have a silver ring and it weighs a certain amount. They're going to take 5% of the weight of that ring and make that gold filled overlay 5% of the ring, of the weight of the ring. So it's a thicker, more dense amount of gold than gold filled or gold plated. Sorry. Gold plated is just a thin layer. Just remember that.
Okay.
But it usually will be marked GP, GEP, or RGP. And let me see. And sometimes it's over silver or just regular base metals,
Base metals, right?
Yeah. So gold filled is like 100 times more gold alloy than gold plated, and it's much thicker. So when you're testing it, I mean, sometimes it's really hard because you have to almost scratch it and ruin it to
ruin it or just scratch it. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do that, you got to like do it in an inconspicuous place. But you can tell too, it weighs a little bit different. I mean, gold has a different weight than silver, but you can feel the difference between gold filled and gold plated. It's really hard to tell, but if you have a scale, that might help.
Right.
Let's see. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Sharon. That's very nice of you. Okay, so that's the difference is gold filled. If you have a chance to buy gold filled over plated, it's definitely a better quality because sometimes gold plating can rub off over time, and you could see that. It's also referred to as vermeil. Okay, so I didn't really take any notes on stones just because I mean, I can talk about stones all day. I'm not an expert. My dad is more the expert, but I've learned through him. And there is, howlite, there's turquoise, there's magnesite. So they're all kind of in the same family. And how to best describe it is when they're growing, the beginning stages is like basically a magnesite. And then it turns into like if there's different minerals or elements or compounds to change it into a howlite. And then it goes further if there's different elements or heat or whatever to change it into turquoise. So there's all these different elements, but it really is like all in the same family. And magnesite is like, it almost looks like Sleeping Beauty. And I'll show you.
That's my favorite turquoise is Sleeping Beauty, and that's no longer available, right? Anything that's been mined is done, right? The mine is closed, Sleeping Beauty.
Yes, so they're closed.
Right.
But they considered Sleeping Beauty worthless back in the day.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, it was like a poor man's version of turquoise to use back in the day.
Okay.
Same thing with white buffalo. They're like, this is useless. It's not blue. We don't like it. And the natives very rarely used it, but if they were like, if they needed like a stone and that's all they had, then they would have used it. So It's really rare when you see it, and it's like people are like jumped on the bandwagon and they love it. So people, it's become popular. So it's like anything, like
Supply and
Mystic
demand too. Yeah.
Yeah, Mystic
There's not that much
Topaz
of it out there. So yeah.
was a big thing back in the 90s when the couple discovered it. And, things go in and out, in and out. But
Right.
so magnesite is like a flat blue and it looks like Sleeping Beauty almost. Then
Mhm.
you have howlite, which I do have howlite here. I don't remember why I have this.
Do you have any dyed halide you can compare it to like turquoise? Or do you don't have any halide there?
Let's
Dyed halide.
see.
That's
What is
one of the
this?
problems I have is like because if you're at a thrift store or something trying to I mean you can't do a scratch test. Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you can use a chemical. You can use what is it? What's the chemical they use on the turquoise to see if it's real turquoise? Is it cleaning supply, right? You use, is that correct?
Is it?
Is there like a
What is
cleaning supply? Do you dab on it like a piece of Q-tip or something to
Oh,
tell if it's dyed halide as opposed to
yeah.
turquoise?
I don't know. I've never done that. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know. My dad's never mentioned it. I've
Okay.
never known that.
Okay. I could be
But I'm
mistaken.
sure, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So this is howlite, and then this is turquoise. Okay.
And white buffalo is a beautiful stone too, and that's pretty popular in Native American jewelry.
It's really rare because it was
Oh, is it
considered,
rare? Okay.
yeah. So if you see it, grab it, you
Okay.
know. Um, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Let me get a little bit closer.
Right.
So howlite, so magnesite, just consider a flat stone, no veining. It looks like Sleeping Beauty. That's magnesite. Okay,
Okay.
then you have howlite, and I don't know if you're going to see the veining. Let's see. Hold on. Let me turn it around and kind of hard to see with my lighting, but there's some.
Yeah.
It's like brown veining. And the
Okay.
brown veining, it looks like little tree branches. It's very distinct in comparison to like turquoise, which here's a piece of turquoise, and it's usually black. Not always, so it can be brown. And it's a little more like, when you're coloring eggs or you're trying to do a tie dye.
Right.
That's the way I can describe it. And it kind of you put like a toothpick in it to kind of like spider it out. One
Okay.
second.
A watchdog. Lori probably has. I think she has tenants that probably came down. The dog's barking, protecting Lori.
One of my tenants was just leaving, and he barks at each
Yeah.
tenant every
Right.
time. But it's kind of like a spider veining. It's usually like a very prominent black or brown with the matrix sometimes. And howlite is like a lighter brown, and it's more wide and more consistent.
Okay.
And where I don't know, it's really kind of hard to explain unless you can just carry a piece with you, like howlite and turquoise, and see the difference because it's getting darker now, so my lighting is like drowning it out. But the best way to, I think, is like just to say when you're trying to color Easter eggs and you put in a separate color and you try to like drag it out in the color with a toothpick or something, and it gets this really cool veining, kind of like tie dye.
Right.
That's probably the best way to describe it.
Right.
But it's definitely more pronounced than howlite. And howlite usually comes in white, and then they can dye it to different colors. But there's
Right.
been colors of howlite. It's just they're very faint and light, so they usually, enhance it by coloring it somehow. Let's see. I think I have a howlite bracelet here. This is a high polished. Oh no, this one is turquoise. Sorry, this is a white buffalo turquoise that I had tested because I wasn't sure if it was like marble but it's actually white buffalo. And I don't know why they made it into just a simple bracelet, but they did.
Right.
So I'm just going to keep this one for myself. I just think it's kind of cool. But I guess the best way to tell when you're out and about is carry a piece of halite and carry a piece of turquoise, and you can kind of guesstimate. But you have to remember, like, halite will have matrix in it sometimes, which is where it grows, and it has like a little bit of brown, and where halite can have some matrix, but they tend not to leave it in the stone when they're cutting it, because it's a little more plentiful than turquoise. Thank you.
That's a great tip. I didn't even think about doing that.
Huh?
That's a great tip about having a little piece with you when you go thrifting or whatever, or to yard sales.
Yeah, and it's like when you're testing silver, because your acid will go bad. And so if you're getting a result that you're like, no, I think this is real silver, the best way to do is, when you have a real piece of silver, do a scratch test on your stone and then test it next to something that you're not sure about. And if you get the same result on both, then it's probably your chemical. It's gone bad. And quite honestly, if you need to get more chemicals through Amazon during the pandemic, and even coming out of it through the summer, I had a hard time getting the chemical delivered somehow. I mean, like, I kept ordering it. And so if you need it, or you're coming to an end, or you're thinking it's a little off, order it ahead of time and just discard, be careful how you discard it, but discard it.
I ordered it once and it was leaking all. I don't know if it was eBay or it was Amazon, and it was just leaking all over. I don't know what the vendor was doing, but it was terrible. I just sent it back. So I'm not dealing with this. I mean, chemicals were leaking all over the place.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, and it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I just interrupt you for 1 second. We said there's going to be an announcement. There's going to be a giveaway, guys. So I just want to. I know we're going to probably go a little over an hour because we're learning quite a bit here. So if you can hang out with us a little bit, I'm going to let you know what the requirements are for the giveaway. So Lauri and I work together. We're going to come up with a nice little prize for you guys. It's for the people that are in the live as well as the people watching the replay. So I didn't want to, limit it to just the people watching live, which I appreciate you guys being here, but I want to also make it available to people that maybe have to work or whatever, or they're getting home after the show airs or whatever. So there will be a giveaway. We'll announce the requirements in a little bit. Okay. All right, Lauri, continue, please.
Okay. So stones, I mean, there's so many stones. If you're never sure, the best way to do is, like, let's say you have let's say like this stone, you're like, gosh, it kind of looks like a turquoise, but I know it's not because it looks so different. All you have to do, the best way I always tell people, is Google stones that look like purple turquoise, and then you'll get like a variety of like options, and you can click on them and kind of see what maybe matches the stone that you have.
So what stone is that? What stone would that be? I'm going to test you. What stone is it?
Oh, you know what? I don't remember.
Okay.
My dad told me.
I never thought of that color before. Okay.
Yeah, it's really pretty though. It's different, and I think this one's a Tasco piece. Let me check, because this would be a good thing to show, like as an example.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. So this one. So this is a little bit different. Like sometimes Tasco pieces has a few numbers, but this one just says TS-11, I think, and then Mexico 925.
Okay, like you said, the Tasco would be the T, and then okay, it says Mexico on it. Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
I don't know if you can see it or not. But
you can see it, not in detail, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anyways, like if you're not sure about, like, this is coral. This is a very old piece of coral. There's various types of coral, and you can kind of look it up. There's branch coral.
Is that dyed coral, or that's the natural color of that coral?
This one's a natural piece. This is an old vintage Native American ring.
I've never seen that color of coral before. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like an orangey red.
Yeah.
And it's open in the back. But let's say you're just new at this and you're like, I don't know, what is this? Just Google stone that looks like coral, or that looks like red turquoise, which is really
and then you can
rare.
also look at images as well with Google Images if you find it and click on images and right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like your best. I mean, thank God for the internet.
Google is your friend. Yep, that's what I thought. Google is your friend.
Yes, And for me, it's like, my dad has helped me with everything, of course, but
Well,
you know,
you have an encyclopedia right on the handy on the phone, but we don't all
yeah,
have that.
yeah, and we spend hours talking about stones sometimes, but like, for instance, I got this ring and I just love it. This is probably my favorite ring right now.
Now that
No.
is not veiny. What would you call that? That's not considered
So
veiny.
it's just striations in the stone. It's
Okay.
malachite,
Oh, it's
the
malachite.
different
Okay.
layers. Yeah. There's a really cool story. I think it's in Africa where it talks about these women, gemologists and archaeologists that found this cave. And this is where they found a new species of, like, other than, like, there's all these different species of cavemen, right? And it was several species before the Cro-Magnon, but they had like a burial place in an underground cave that was made of like quartz and amethyst, because African amethyst is beautiful. And
Okay.
it's a whole documentary. You'll have to look it up on. It's on YouTube and like the Discovery Channel. And oh, it's such a wonderful story, but it's really hard to get in there. And the what is it? The carbon monoxide
Okay.
levels are really high, so they can
Gotcha.
only stay so
Okay.
long there.
Okay.
And anyways, but it's where they brought their dead and they had buried them, but
Okay.
they looked very much like monkeys, but they were small, very small. They could get in there, and it was discovered. And I thought, my God, what a beautiful finding. So definitely something to look up. Okay, so if you ever in doubt, just look it up. If you're not sure, if it's a CZ or if it's glass, you can always you can buy a Presidium gem tester, but the problem with that, or anything other, let's say it's not a Presidium, it's something else and it's maybe a little cheaper model or whatever, it's still a good guide, but it doesn't tell you exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be within a range. So you may have bought a piece of jade and then you test it and you're like, this isn't jade, this is might be along the lines of like onyx even, but
Okay.
it's never going to give you the exact telltale what it is, because it's just a general testing. It's not like you're a gemologist and you're looking at it and you're testing it. It's totally different, but it's a good guide if you're buying and selling gemstones and you really
It
don't know
definitely
what
need
they
a
have.
tester. Yeah. You need
Yeah.
the acid tester. Need that, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of something that might be good to have. Like, I wouldn't mind having one. But like I said, I just usually have my dad look at them and tell me. But there's sometimes where I bought them and then I was wrong in what I told someone, and I had to like tell them, okay, it's not this, it's that. Would you still like it? And I think as long as you're upfront and completely honest about it, it's usually, it usually turns out fine. I've had to do that a couple of times and they still bought from me afterwards. I think just owning up to your mistakes, or sometimes even if something breaks or I've lost something, like I've dropped it and God knows if the cat has batted it around and I can't find it now. So as long as you're upfront and honest with them, that's probably the best thing you can do, and you'll have return, customers. Um, Okay, what was next on the list? I mean, stones, I think that's the best way. If you're an
Right.
amateur, don't be afraid, just Google it. That's probably the best way, and you'll see pictures and you'll get an idea. You could say, well, I think it's this, or it could be that. And that's probably your best tool, but don't ever say, like, it's definitely this, because then you could get yourself into trouble.
Especially if you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Um,
we're going to talk about the various types of, I mean, and again, people collect brooches and people collect bracelets and necklaces and earrings. And I guess it just varies on what the people want. I see some of these auctions and people are buying brooches like crazy, but they typically don't
yeah.
sell for a high dollar or so.
Mm-mm. Mm, I mean, I would say it's a good thing to have a variety, because in the beginning I just had fine jewelry, and then I realized that I had to put in a variety of things to attract everybody.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
So
So
you have the
you have some, right?
yeah,
So you
the
have
fine
fine
jewelry,
jewelry, right?
the stone people, the costume jewelry people, and then there's the people who just want to buy your craft items, like your craft jewelry that's broken, rhinestones
Right.
missing, because they repair and they resell. And
Or they make their own jewelry. They use those pieces and they make their own jewelry. I
yeah,
had Gianna on the show that she makes her own jewelry. And
yeah. And so
they'll
it's
buy the craft lots and they'll make their right.
yeah, I always put everything in a big bag. Everything's individually packed. I can't stand seeing like a big ball of jewelry that's all tangled and thrown in a bag. And we'll get to that for for packaging. But as far as like there are, we'll talk about imitation turquoise.
Right.
Yeah, there is imitation turquoise. Usually, it's passed off when like it's crushed, and then they'll put like resin with it. But there is crushed turquoise with resin in it as an inlay. You
Okay.
just have to know the difference, and that's a really tough one sometimes. But if it's usually like hallmarked with their, name, then you're usually okay. Um, or if you kind of know the style, you can tell if you feel it to your cheek. um Most stones, even when they're crushed, they still feel cool even with
I
the
was going to
resin.
ask you that. People keep saying that, like you watch other jewelry shows, and even like if it's a lot. I mean, I watch some of the other jewelry shows, and there's some very experienced jewelry sellers, some experienced jewelry sellers. There's some people that aren't very experienced. A lot of
Yeah,
times they'll say, "Well, it's a stone, and it's cold to the touch, so I know it's a stone." But and again, like you
yeah,
said, if you don't know, don't tell. Don't say what it is if you don't know.
yeah,
Honesty is the best policy. I mean, don't.
yeah,
And again, that was something I brought up in our show notes. Be careful, guys. Do your due diligence. Just because somebody says something is, gold, like you said, it could be gold plated, it could be gold
mhm,
filled. Be careful.
yes,
Somebody could say it's turquoise, not turquoise is super valuable, but it could be dyed halite, and they're saying it's turquoise. So
yeah.
it's not always easy, but do your due diligence.
I bought a ring mistakenly. I mean, I bought so many things, and from a one person in particular, and she held my stuff to then send it to me in one bulk, shipment.
Right.
And by the time I had received it, I was already ordering a bunch of other things from her. And I just thought, like, wow, she just has a plethora of gold and silver and diamonds. And well, all of it was basically fake. Or,
Wow. Okay.
and I don't even know if they intentionally did it. I think it was more of a lack of knowledge and how they were testing. They would test at night. Me personally, my eyes get really bad at night. I can't
Sure, you're
test
tired, and
anything.
right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Do it when
So
you're
first,
alert. Don't when I first wake up, I got the cobwebs from my allergies. At night you're tired, so do it during the day.
yeah, I say do it after, once you're awake and everything, but never do it at night. And she had her husband checking at night, but a lot of it was stainless steel with gold tone over it.
I think I
And
know where you're going there. We're not going to mention. I know you're talking about nice people, but yeah, okay.
so I did return one item, and she didn't receive it very well. Like and I thought, well, she's not going to take back all this other stuff I bought from her. I mean, it was like $4,000 worth that I
Oh, that
spent.
might be somebody different then. Okay, that's yeah, because these people don't sell real high end stuff. So okay.
And oh my gosh, I was heartbroken. And so I thought, sometimes you just have to cut your losses and maybe never let, your packaging like buy so much at one time. Get little smaller batches. Like I always offer though packaging, like to ship it in a bulk thing, but I always label everything and we've tested everything. But after that, I realized they didn't know what they were doing. And I don't know if it was intentional, but when I told her, it was not received well. So at some point, I'm just going to cut my losses and move on, and I did.
Yeah,
And
sometimes it's it's a lesson learned. It could be expensive, but
yeah, and it
I
was.
not that I mean some people doing it intentionally, which is really bad. And we've had some people in the
Yeah,
chat, and I have had experience with people who've done things intentionally wrong, and that's terrible. But
Yeah.
you know, I kind of live by the adage, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So
Yeah.
you can't always avoid it, but you know, try to be careful. Try to do your due diligence.
And this couple was not on YouTube, by the way. They were on Facebook.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
yeah, so it's not who like we're thinking, you know.
Yeah, when you said it was $4,000, I thought it was somebody else, and I thought it's like $4,000 for the stuff you're not buying from this nice couple. So
Yeah, and this was over time I had bought, and so
okay.
I really trusted. Anyways, it was a nightmare. But the thing is, if let's say you get taken like that, I put that on my taxes because I do.
It's a loss.
You know,
Yeah, it's a loss. Yeah.
it's a loss. I report what I make from my invoices. Actually, PayPal tallies it up, and they send a form to the IRS, and then so you know they know. So I just
Oh, they know when you file a claim, they keep it on your file. PayPal does.
I never actually no. I you know what? I tried telling her like this would destroy her. It really would.
Okay.
And I said, you really need to look into how to test a little better. I tried to talk to her about that, but it just went to the wayside. And I just thought, you know what? I tried helping her, and I just moved on. But with PayPal, they tally up your sales, they send it to the IRS, and then so the IRS knows, so there's no hiding it.
Right, that's different, right? Yeah, I thought you meant they would show your losses. Okay, I thought maybe you filed a claim or something. Okay.
So when I did my taxes,
yeah, like any e-commerce, it's like I think it's over $10,000, a certain amount of transaction. They'll give you a 1099 from PayPal.
Yeah. Well, I got a 1099, but it was because I'm a business member.
Right.
And you know, you can upgrade to that. Otherwise, before I was like having to tally up everything my own.
Right.
And so anyways, I did claim a loss because it was truly a loss. Like I have it, it's still sitting here. I don't know why I have it here. It's just still sitting here in a bin in front of me.
Maybe it's to remind you, be careful, right?
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, be careful. But I think also at the time, like I was really busy with work and things were going on. So I wasn't diligent in checking and I let it go. And then it became a problem because she sent one big bulk to me. So be very careful in that sense and don't do what I did for sure. Okay. What was
so that was one of our topics we wanted to talk about. You know, do your pricing, check your pricing, do your research. Again, that's for listing and their purchasing. Do your due diligence. Be careful. There are fakes and counterfeits out there, which we just discussed. And the listing portion, guys, basically, I just want to share something real quick with you guys. Bill and I had our show again. I want to mention it real quick, and we're going to mention the giveaway real fast. Bill and I have a show. We do it every other Monday. This Monday is going to be in his channel, No Man a Frog, at 8 p.m. So if you aren't subscribed to his channel, please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to Lauri's 2 channels. They are in the description below, and I know Sharon's been sharing that. One thing I want to show, because we're not going to really get into listing too much, guys. One thing I just wanted, when I brought up Bill, the reason I brought that up is because when we were talking about selling athletic shoes, and he had a nice wooden crate that they had stained, and they used that for their pictures. I just want to share one thing with you guys. Something that just when you're listing things, if you're using a light box or whatever, using that for you know, when you're listing things on eBay or Etsy or whatever. Some neat things you can use, accessories, and it just makes it look a little more professional. So I just wanted to show that real fast, and then we'll go back to Lauri. We'll talk about the giveaway, and then a couple other things we want to talk about real quickly, and then we'll. I don't want to keep you guys here forever, but
for a second, and I'll show what I have as far as like
okay
what I use. So yeah, keep it.
Let me just show this real fast.
Okay.
And again, I can't see it because I don't have my phone or my tablet up. Okay. So you can see these, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, so just, I mean, and this is Amazon. I mean, most of us deal with Amazon. Not pricey, you know, $15, $16. I thought this was kind of neat. This 2-piece. It's for bracelets and also for a necklace. You know, $15. You can put that in your little photo box or light box. Here's an example. Actually, a video. I don't know why there's a video, but there's a video showing these displays. You know, if you're selling some kind of a lot, you can put these on this rack. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then again, it looks very professional when you present things this way. So again, there's hands, there's the little finger molds that I know people use, display pieces here. So just something to consider when you're, here's something here. You can get the individual ones where you put a piece of ring on it or whatever. So just something to make it a little more professional when you're doing your listings. So I just want to bring that to your attention, guys. Okay, and Lauri is going to grab something.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I have some. Recently, I had the black jewelry display bust that I had a long time from my dad had them, and then I got them. And what you have to do is they collect a lot of dust, and not dust, but like hairs or just dust particles on them, everything. So I switched. And what I usually do would take a lint brush to them every time I show jewelry. It was such pain. So then I got a little one like this. I think this was on Amazon also. It's like a natural material, almost like a burlap. And it's just a short one, but it works well. It shows well too. And then for my birthday.
That is nice. That's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. For my birthday, my dad got me, and I think he got these originally from, I think he had this one from a show we did, a jewelry show like years ago, but he got it on Amazon, I think, because we were like pressed for time and we needed like multiples of everything. But
that's the other thing that came to mind. Some things pop up in my brain. As a clothing seller, I had purchased like mannequins and things when department stores are going out of business. Macy's or whatever, Penny's are closing. Again, if they have a jewelry section, maybe there's some display pieces you guys can buy inexpensively when the stores are going out of business. You can buy it when they're having liquidation sale. So it's an opportunity and options to help you display and help you sell it a little better.
That's what a fellow YouTuber did. Becky did, and she bought Lane Bryant
or display case. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and she bought the displays, and that's how she started. But what I liked about this one is that I can take the rolls off and then display each of my bracelets and just show it or prop it up and show it, bring it to the camera. So my dad gave me that one, and then he got from Amazon recently for my birthday in July, which I really like these. You could probably make them, but they were such a good deal. I think he got 6 of them, and so you have the different levels.
Oh, nice. So, okay.
Yeah. And
does that have a base to it that you can stand up or no?
Yep. So it has a little base.
Okay, it's like an easel. Okay, gotcha.
And they're not high tech or things.
Yeah.
But they're
that's
strong.
Too. You can put that in your photo box and then put your necklace on that and take a picture in your photo box. You're good for listing things on e-commerce platforms.
One bust maybe, and then like most of these.
Absolutely. It looks so much more professional. I mean, sometimes we always say the pictures are worth 1,000 words. It's true, and if you make it look really professional, maybe you get a couple extra dollars. Maybe you'll get $25 for your piece. Somebody else is getting $15 because you take better pictures and you display it better.
Yeah, and the other thing, what you can do is, I see a lot of people on eBay or especially like Posh and Mercari. They get like a little tray. And then they put their display on it, right?
Okay.
And then the tray might be filled with sand, and then they put, white sand. You can get it from the dollar store, and then they might put like an abalone on top of that. And
just something like a little trademark picture, for the store. Yeah, absolutely.
Or a slice of agate or whatever. But I mean, just something a little different,
to catch your attention when you're scrolling through the different listings.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I don't list on there, but
that's great tips. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and what you can do with these too is I put in like little, you can do like little pieces of metal, and I just hang like sometimes bracelets if I have like a matching necklace or something. I stick the earrings in here too because they are kind of plush. So these were a great buy, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Dad, because they really helped me, and I hated the black ones because they do collect a lot of dust. Okay, so next on our list.
We pretty much discussed everything other than shipping, and we definitely want to talk about the giveaway, and we want to make sure that people are subscribed to your channels. So if you want to just touch on the shipping real fast,
Okay.
and how you ship things through you do a buy it now for your YouTube channel, but just talk about how you ship things out and what your process is.
So a lot of times, I mean, I try to package my things really, really well. There's been a couple of times like where I did send something and I bubble wrapped it in a bubbler, and I was really careful with it. But you have to remember they go and through the post office, they go through
Processing machines, right? The conveyor belts and the processing machines.
They grab it and crush it, and
Yep.
so I wasn't thinking about that. So if it's like a gemstone necklace or something, always try to put it in a box. I don't care if you are reusing someone else's box or something, or you makeshift your own cardboard box, just something to protect it, because there's nothing worse than getting something broken and then like you try to tell someone I received it broken. I've had 2 times I sent like some Boyd's Bears. They were ceramic, and I packed them so well, but they broke. Some of them broke. Okay,
Right.
well, you refund that person immediately. You
Cost of
apologize.
doing business. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and then that person still buys from me. You just have to make it right. Don't argue with them.
That's the thing,
You know?
guys. And I'm probably preaching the choir. I know most of you in the chat. I don't know some of you that watch the replay. I know most people in the chat are professional resellers, and just do the right thing. If you were on the other side, if you were the purchaser and you got something was damaged, don't just. There are scammers out there. Don't get me wrong. There are scammers out there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, people are. It seems like clothing. There's more scammers on clothing. So anyway, that's just my opinion. But with jewelry, I'm sure there are some. But at the most part, if something arrives damaged and people give you a picture of it, I mean that's a no-brainer. Just refund them immediately.
Yeah, because
Do the right thing.
if it's broken, I mean, obviously
Right.
they're not going to take a chance and break it
Right.
to get money.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So just refund them, be done with it, and send your apologies and move on. It's not worth your time to get into it with them or anything. So I just find that's the best way. And if they are scamming you, then that's on them, and it always will come back to them. So don't waste your time on that. But as far as packaging, yeah, I think it's really important to put things in boxes. And during the pandemic, I could not get all the boxes. Like they were on back order. And I even tried to go to the dollar store trying to get boxes. Like I was desperate for boxes. And I was like holding on to people's packages because I was afraid to send them and without them being in a box. And but regardless of that, just always have a plethora of boxes. If you have to make your own boxes out of cardboard, just protect it, like wrap it in bubble wrap. And then
You like use the larger bubble wrap. You feel they're more protected, the big bubbles?
I use the smaller one.
I thought you told me to use the big ones. You use the smaller ones. Okay.
Yeah, but that's just me. Now, the one I get from Walmart, I don't like. But then the one I get from Target is a better quality. So I think it's like the Duck one from
The Duck
Walmart.
brand? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Walmart's
okay.
the Duck brand that you don't like.
Yeah, it's okay. But the one I get from Target is a much quality. Yeah, much better. Okay. And then I get like my clear tape from the Dollar Tree. I get my bubble mailers from Amazon. And sometimes I do reuse them because sometimes I run out and you're like, oh my God, you just have to be resourceful. And I don't like to waste anyways. The other thing is though, if you're packaging a package, I don't have anything here right now because everything's packaged up. You want to make sure it's nicely packaged. If it's a big pendant, like let's say this one, what I like to do is, let's say, okay, this is not the right size, but let's say it's a little jewelry bag that's like half the size. Okay, this is a sandwich size. But what I like to do is I put the pendant inside of here.
Right.
Then I let the chain. Okay, I put it back inside, but I don't want it to get tangled. And so I kind of loop it back in like this. And so it's hanging a little bit on the outside, so it's not getting tangled or scratching anything. It's just hanging out on the outside. And that way your chain doesn't get tangled. But
I've bought things where it was so tangled I couldn't even repair it. I mean, not expensive things, but it was just so frustrating.
yeah, and certain chains will do that. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're better off. And so I make sure, like, I'm really diligent about packaging. So I wrap it. I probably overwrap things. I probably, I fold things. I try to fold it nicely with tissue paper if I have to use tissue paper. I always put a little note in there. Even if I run out of cards, I will use a Post-it note and say, "Thank you for your purchase."
Or say, yeah, put a card or a Post-it note or something, a little thank you, right?
Anything. Say thank you. I mean, they are the ones that are, keeping you in business.
Right, and you get repeat customers that way. Yep.
There's been times where I forgot, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to put their note inside. And so rather than ripping it back open, I just will email them like, sorry, I forgot to put your card in.
Right.
But, I mean, my intentions are good. I try to always treat everyone, special, and I try to save them on shipping. And we, sometimes we'll do bulk shipping, a couple of things at a time.
Right.
Oh, thank you, Susan. And I try to be conscious of the materials I'm using. I get shipments all the time from Walmart, and it's I'll have to grab some, but it's like this craft paper, and the craft paper is invaluable to me because if I run out of bubble wrap, I could always use that. But I also, let's say, let me grab this mailer here.
It takes up space in the box as well. So if you're using bubble wrap, it's filler to keep the things from bouncing around in the box.
So here's a bubble mailer. Okay. Right. What I would do is probably put line the bottom with the craft paper. So the bottom, and then the boxes, and then like these boxes. Okay, and then fit everything tightly, and then on top put the craft paper again.
Or craft paper on the top, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and on the side if you need to, and then I don't just use the part where you rip off and then close it. I also tape it, and I always take my label and fully cover it with tape, because if it's
in case it gets wet. It looks like Lauri's frozen, guys. Oh, there you're back. Okay, you're back.
That was not attractive. But anyways, like, just be like diligent and diligent almost, and it might take you a little longer to get everything out, but it's going to get there in one piece and without any problems. And also make sure you label everything, because I think that's really important to label everything. So like, let's see. Oh yeah. So
guys, if there were any last minute questions, then we're going to discuss the giveaway. Lauri, do you have it handy what you're going to giving away?
Yeah. I always say, when you put things in plastic baggies, label everything so that they know what they have, because they might not list it right away. And
that's me. Don't list it right away.
And what you could do is just print a packing slip from PayPal, and then they just keep it with their package until they're ready to list.
That's a good tip. Okay. Absolutely.
So let's see, which I should probably start doing.
Right. So I just want to remind you guys, Lauri, you said as far as your show is going to be, you're getting into a routine again as far as your show. Going to be at a special time, at specific night, or what did you?
I usually used to come on at Friday or Saturday nights, and then it kind of shifted to Sundays sometimes. But I'm just by myself, and I don't get any assistance or anything. So whenever I can come on, I come on, and I try, if I have like a lot of stuff that I really want to sell, that's beautiful new pieces, I'll send an email. I always forget to send an email, but I have an email list of people. That's the best way. Take a couple of pictures, attach it to the email, send it, and hopefully they can come join you for your live. But sometimes I'm literally just on the fly, and I'm coming on because that's the only time I have. And if people can join me, great. They can watch the replay, and sometimes I'll get an email saying, "Oh, at this part of the video, I want this piece." Okay.
So I'm assuming you're getting some kind of routine typically then on a Friday or Saturday night, and you usually you go on late. You typically 9, 10 o'clock Pacific time.
Sometimes. I mean, I try to come on earlier. My intention
Right.
is to, but like I said, I'm by myself. I don't have a partner. I'm the sole provider. I do everything. I volunteer. So I might say, oh, 8 o'clock. And then I get home and I'm getting everything together and it's like
What
9
time?
o'clock.
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, right? Okay. So again, both of Lauri's channels are in the description, guys, of the video. So if you're watching a replay or when it uploads, and again, subscribe to both their channels and turn the notifications on because right now she's doing it on her Creative Lauri channel, but eventually she'll be doing on her Creative Lauri Jewelry and Gems.
Yeah.
Once she gets up to the 1,000 subscribers. She doesn't have to be 1,000, but I mean, she does it on her phone, so that's an issue too. So
yeah.
okay, so you're going to show the giveaway that Lauri and I have gotten together. We're going to give a little giveaway, guys. It's going to be available to the people that watch the replay too. I don't want to, I appreciate you guys being here live, but I want to, some people cannot be here live, and I appreciate them watching the show also. So I want to make it available to everybody. I want you to show it, and we'll just get in a little bit about the requirement.
Okay. So I don't know how what you're gonna do, but these are new. They're sterling silver from top to bottom. They're rose quartz and hand carved rose quartz beads, and then large chips, and then these are Royal Borealis glass, faceted glass. And it's an all sterling silver. They come on a card, and then I put them in a sheath of plastic, and I'll label in the back what they are. And so they're a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, or for like a coworker, yourself, your children, grandkids, a neighbor, whatever. It's a fun gift. They're all sterling from top to bottom. They're made by my friend Giselle, who's also Native American, and she makes beautiful pieces. I buy in bulk from her and then resell it on my channel.
Okay, guys, so we're doing a giveaway on this. And again, make sure you subscribe to Lauri's channel, and she does sell these on her show. And are you going to be putting together your packages that we talked a couple of weeks ago about your Christmas packages? You used to put together like little gift sets and things. You have the time to do that, or you're just okay?
Yeah, I
we got Thanksgiving next week, so
I know.
rapidly approaching.
So I've been getting them together, and I thought, oh my gosh, I got to get them out, right? Or got to start showing them. I had some people who bought last year who asked if I was going to do them again this year, and I said yes. So the next time I come live, I'll show them. But they're containers, and then I also did stocking stuffers that are all wrapped, and everything is really cutely well done. I showed some of them for Christmas in July on Donatella's channel, or T's channel,
right?
And Donatella's channel. And then, but these are going to be a little bit different and in a different price range, so they're very affordable. And
didn't Deanna buy like a dozen or if not more of them? I remember one year she bought for a bunch of people.
I think she bought 10, and 10, those were the bigger containers. Yeah. Right. For her sisters and everything. Right. And then remember Kim Webster? Yes. Kim Webster bought like I don't remember how many of my stocking stuffers she bought, but she bought like one time 50, and then she was like, wow. I want another 50 more, and then she's like, can I get another 15? I mean, she bought a ton of them, and then some people were sending them from one YouTuber to the next for a gift. To say hello.
Sure. They're like they said, stocking stuffer type of things.
Yeah.
They're a little big for stocking stuffers, but they're inexpensive.
Yes. They're inexpensive, but they've got new stuff in them. I'm not going to say what they are, so you'll have to tune in and check them out. But they're really wrapped cutely and very Christmassy, and then I package them really well so that they will get to you safely, or to whomever.
Okay. So now for the giveaway, guys, I'm going to keep it very simple. I would like if you were subscribed to both of Lauri's channels. I would like if you were subscribed to my channel. Turn the notifications on. But YouTube is funny about these things, so I'm not going to require it. I'm just going to ask you politely if you could be subscribed to my channel, subscribe to Lauri's channels, turn notifications on. The only requirement is that you leave some kind of comment. I don't care what you comment. You could say, thanks for the show. Thank you, Lauri. I like selling this type of jewelry. I like this particular stone. Whatever you want to put in the comments, guys. And again, I want to make it available to the people. I do have at least 30, 40, 50 people that watch, hopefully more, that watch the replay. So I want to make it available to everybody. I appreciate you guys being here live, but some people can't be here live. So again, I want to be fair to the people that watch the replay. The only thing I require is that you leave a comment when the video uploads. Typically, for some reason, I have like 12 megabytes upload or whatever. It takes like 12 to 14 hours with this upload. I don't know why, but it'll be uploaded tomorrow morning. Just leave any kind of comment. And then what I'll do is on my next show, I'll either use my phone, I'll pick a random number, or use a random YouTube generator, a comment generator. Somehow I'll randomly have either my phone or the YouTube random comment generator pick out one of the comments. And then the only thing I'll require is that you guys contact me at my email, which Sharon's been posting, but it's easy. It's adamsexploits@gmail.com without the apostrophe. So again, leave any kind of comment, and I'll randomly pick. I'll have a device, either my phone or the random comment generator, pick a number, and that number will be assigned to your comment, and that's who I'll have as the winner. So again, I appreciate you all being here, guys. Just a reminder, I am doing a show this coming Monday on Bill Noman the Frog's channel. So if you're not subscribed to Bill's channel, subscribe to that. That's at 8 p.m. this Monday. Next Wednesday is Thanksgiving Eve. So I know a lot of you will not be going out. But please don't go out. Please don't go to bars and congregate with a lot of people. Again, there's a lot of political statement. I want you just to be safe, okay? So I'm going to do just a working hangout. I figure a lot of people will be busy, maybe preparing their Thanksgiving dinners, or they'll have, maybe have family over, or whatever they're doing, watch a movie. So I didn't want to have like a regular show on Thanksgiving Eve. So I'm just going to do a working hangout, probably do it for an hour or two. So I'll get some work done. And if you guys want to join me next Wednesday, you want to get some work done and hang out with your fellow resellers, that's great. So just remember, leave any kind of comment in the comment section below, and that way you'll be qualified for the giveaway. Again, I want to thank Lauri for being here. I think there was a ton of valuable information. I appreciate her being here. Lauri, did you want to have any other closing comments you want to leave with the people, or we pretty much, I guess we answered most of the questions, at least. Sharon, did we miss anything, or Michelle, did we miss any of the questions? I don't believe we did.
No, I'm just thank you for watching, and come visit our lives and come hang out with us. And if you have any questions about a piece of jewelry, you can always send me a picture to the email right here. And I'll do my best in trying to see what it is. Sometimes, it's hard to tell over a picture too, but I can give you an idea.
And again, your email is on your screen there. creativelori2@gmail.com, and it's also in the description below. So Lauri's both her channels are in there, and also her email to contact her if you're interested in just maybe you're looking for a specific type of jewelry. Say, Lauri, I don't know if you have this, but please keep me in mind, and send her an email.
Yeah, in fact, I need when I get off of here, I need to get back with someone. They want me to set their mother's diamond wedding ring in, or my dad, I should say, have my dad set it in a pendant necklace for her granddaughter. And so we do stuff like that. My dad's a silver.
I wasn't aware that your dad did that. Okay.
Yeah, and so I do need to get back to her, but we both realized, it was right around Halloween when we talked, and we both had a lot going on, and I said, just keep in touch with me. But I always try to follow up, and if you guys have any questions, just leave me a comment. If on my main channel, if my lifestyle channel is not your thing, but I do my auctions on there, just be notified, hit the bell, so you'll be notified when I do the auctions, because I typically don't do the auctions on my other smaller channel, which is the Jewelry and Gems one. I'll do videos on there. The Buy It Now videos will be done there, and my lives, auction / Buy It Now will be on this main channel. So I hope to see you guys, and I hope you learned something, and I keep on learning every day from my dad and from books and reading and everything. So that's all you can do, and beware of, if things don't go right, just walk away from them and move on. And I hope you all find some beautiful jewelry, because it's harder to find nowadays. But hang in there.
Keep on keeping on, and everyone be safe out there. We shall see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.